Let's talk about 3 ways tube-style plaquette devices can have their brake-assisting rope-blocking function fail, so that we can guard against those failures. Hi there everyone, I'm Jason. If you follow the channel, you know that we release 3 general video types. We have longer form videos like this one today. We have quick tip shorts that try to present a brief concept or technique as a standalone point in less than 60 seconds. And we have short previews that actually accompany each longer form video as an equivalent of a 30 to 60 second movie trailer so that people can decide if the longer form video is worth their time. Well, across all 3 of these video types, one of our most popular videos is about how we can use a common clove hitch tying technique in a way that can defeat the brake assist rope blocking function of a plaquette device. I wanted to say a bit more about that potential failure, going beyond what we can say in less than 60 seconds, but also talk about a few other potential fail points when using these devices. First, let's talk about the device style I am referring to. I am talking about a plaquette, or a device that lets the following climber's load strand pinch down on the brake strand when that second climber falls, adding a brake assist to the belay. But I'm also talking about a tube-style plaquette, or a plaquette that has some depth to the device, as opposed to, say, a plate-style plaquette, like the Kong GG, which has less depth to it. Those 2 styles share some of the potential failure circumstances, but also have failure possibilities that are more likely to happen with just one or the other style. Now, on to some possible failures. The first failure is the one from that short. In this circumstance, the second climber has climbed up to the anchor. The climber is going to clip into a carabiner on the anchor with a clove hitch using the handshake method. That method starts, simply enough, with putting a half twist in the rope coming from the harness and clipping it into the carabiner. Here is the potential fail point. If that second climber should fall right now, the carabiner divides the 2 ropes within the device and the rope blocking does not happen. Okay, but let's separate a risk that needs to be watched out for versus a risk that needs to be avoided through some fail-safe method. I'm not saying never use the handshake method to tie a clove hitch when finishing a pitch. There are lots of ways we can mitigate the risk. The first mitigation is simply the stance itself. Most belay anchors are made where there is a reasonable stance, so the fall risk is pretty low. Some stances will be more risky, however. Additionally, and this is really the running theme of this particular video, the belayer should recognize this point in the belay process as having that particular failure scenario and should be attentively maintaining control of the brake strand. If that wasn't enough, we could tie a catastrophe knot behind the belay, or we could tie the clove hitch in the air and then clip it to the carabiner all at once. We could use the backside strand coming from the device to tie the clove and then adjust the slack. Or maybe if we are planning to swap leads, the leader could add a carabiner to the backside of their clove hitch and clip the follower in using that. The point isn't, oh no, we're all gonna die. The point is that there is a weakness at this point in the system, just like every system has weak points. And we need to be aware of how our context is likely or unlikely to turn that weakness into an actual problem. The next potential fail point also tends to show up when followers are approaching the anchor. Here we have a party of 3, so 2 ropes are belaying 2 climbers who are coming up staggered apart but climbing simultaneously. Now we are going to add in a traversing finish to the pitch, so the climbers are coming into the anchor somewhat sideways. If climber 1 is belaying, climber 2 has passed the last piece of pro before the anchor, but climber 3 has yet to reach that last piece of pro. Should both climbers weight the rope at the same time, maybe through falling or simply by needing a rope assist through a tricky move, the device is pulled in 2 directions and cannot rotate to ensure the load strand is on top of the brake strand, so the rope blocking feature may fail. Again, awareness of the shortcoming means that the belayer should be extra attentive when we have a traverse into the stance. We could also use that same awareness when the leader is approaching the stance. Before building the anchor, the leader could add safety by placing a piece of gear very close to where the anchor will be. This way, by the time the second climber is ready to unclip that last piece of protection, we have reduced the time where it is possible to experience the multiple directions of pull on the device. Now, speaking of the device not being able to rotate, that leads to the last potential failure scenario of this video. The terrain features themselves could prevent the device from rotating into the alignment that creates the rope block. Maybe the classic example would be a crack placement. Oftentimes, our motion of belaying will move the device around. Should that device receive a sudden off-axis pull from a fall, it could wedge. This issue is best solved with forethought as the anchor is being built. In that way, it's not much different than other potential anchor issues we try to avoid, like having rock pushing on gates or cross-loading carabiners or the like. We are just extending that logic to the whole belay setup itself. So none of these are super high probability, but just like we should know that static slings can't take factor 2 falls despite their high tensile strength, we should also be aware of how these very reliable devices can get manipulated by circumstances in ways that do add risk. The risks can be dealt with, and oftentimes through simple attentiveness, but only if we are aware the risks exist. So, like these plaquette failures, have you got any other be on the lookout for type of climbing risks to call out? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out a similar short we did on the way a Connecticut tree hitch may fail without our noticing, or maybe check out our rock climbing safety series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.